And hello, today wakasm plays Rolling Tactics Scales of Peace, which is a print and play roll and write game, single sheet, well, not quite single sheet, that's coming to Kickstarter January 20th. I sometimes get asked to do previews for Kickstarter, so that's what I'm doing today. So hopefully this video can at the very least give you a rough idea of what the game is and how it plays, and I guess let's just get started. First of all, this is by Pio Games. I've covered a few of their games in the past. They've done Roller Staying Jurassic Adventures, and there's another one. It will cycle through. I always forget the name, but you'll see it on the bottom left hand side. Yeah, I think my camera's reversed. There we go. Forbidden Adventures is the other one. So this is another one. This time they've done a completely different system, so it uses some elements of those other games, but this one seems a little bit different and unique, so we're going to try it today. Little about me: often, usually what you see is my first real-time playthrough. I'm doing it in real time with you. Sometimes I'll do a couple turns just to make sure I understand the rules, but I do make rules mistakes, so don't, if I play something wrong, make sure you read the rule book or check the actual Kickstarter for the full rules, just to make sure that I haven't done something drastically weird or crazy to change your judgment on a game. Second of all, because this is a Kickstarter preview, I'm going to try and not be too opinionated about the game. I don't know if this is a great game or not, but I always give it a fair shake, and you can make your own opinions from the playthrough if this is something that would be interesting to you. Either way, check out the Kickstarter on January 20th. I don't know if this video will be up before or after the Kickstarter, but yeah, that's when it's supposed to be launching. Anyway, let's get started. So what is this game? This game is it's a roll and write, so its complexity is going to be limited to a roll and write scope, but it seems to be trying to emulate sort of like a Fire Emblem tactics game. At least that's my take on it. If not Fire Emblem, any of the other anime looking tactical grid fighters like Shining Force, or I don't know, I'm sure there's others that I'm not thinking of. I'm going to my old school video game roots to think about how to relate what this is. One thing that Pio Games does tend to do, this is the piece that kind of has carried over from Forbidden Adventures and Jurassic Adventures, the roller staying games, is they do tend to create their games with a campaign in mind. So there is like a campaign where you can win or lose and continue on. But they usually also add difficulty levels for replayability, so that is something that they're consistent with. This is scenario 1. I don't have access to any other scenarios. I don't know if the gameplay changes drastically or not, or do I know exactly how the campaign even works, but I will show you a little bit of it, what I do have access to. Also, this is a working prototype copy. I mean, it looks pretty polished to me, but things might change. They tend to have a lot of artwork for their games, but the copy that I have didn't have a huge amount of artwork, so I'm showing you what I have. But I do know that Pio Games is I think it's a husband-wife duo, and I think the wife does all the art, or maybe they both do. But I do know that the Forbidden Adventures game specifically, actually both of them had a lot of really good comic-y book art, and you can even go to their Instagram and they show you the process of drawing. I thought the way they did it, it was very well done, so you can go check them out. Maybe I should have had that ready on here to showcase, but yeah, that's about all I know about them. But they've reached out to me before, so that's why I'm covering it. Anyway, let's get started to the game. I will do my best to explain it. Hopefully I understand it, and we'll move forward. So first of all, the campaign. Let's just start with that. This is typically what you'll see. I don't know if they're going to have art with this or not, but generally you get a what's the word, like a story, and then there's usually a victory outcome and a defeat outcome, and sometimes the defeat outcome ends the game, sometimes it doesn't. I'm saying a lot, I don't know why. So we'll just do the introduction. Since time immemorial, immemorial. There we go. Elemental dragons have dwelled across the clouds, serving as both guardians and judges of the kingdoms below. They protect their lands from danger, yet restrain their own people just as fiercely. Should a ruler turn weapons against another kingdom, the dragon's wrath strikes inward as swiftly as it would against any outside foe. With this balance of power, war faded into legend. You are a trained peacekeepers of the kingdom of Glenor, tasked with resolving small conflicts before the dragon's intervention become necessary. Today, however, you are off duty, visiting a small village in the kingdom of Ignustra to witness a ritual of trust. Once every few years, the dragon descends from the clouds to entrust the kingdom below with one of its eggs. The people of the kingdom then care for it until the young dragon hatches, after which a parent dragon returns to welcome it back. Word reached you the moment the eggshell began to crack, and you hurried to arrive in time. The celebration reaches its peak as a fire dragon descends from the clouds. Cheers erupt, but suddenly turns to screams as flames blaze through the village and people flee in all directions. The dragon turns sharply toward a nearby shrine. It doesn't take long for an angry mob to gather, blaming the dragon for the fire, declaring these creatures can no longer be trusted. Moments before the fire, Milas noticed a lone figure moving through the village with a torch in hand and their face hidden. Certain that the dragons would never threaten the peace they protect, you take up the chase, but before you can act, the village peacekeepers block your path. To them, you are foreign troublemakers taking advantage of the chaos. Your word fails to convince them. You have no choice but to fight your way through to uncover the truth. So, a couple things about the game. I'm playing this solo. It's advertised to be able to be played with other players. The rules didn't cover too much of how the players interact. I think there's only 2 elements of the game that interact with other players, and from my just reading of the rule book, I'm not 100% sure I understood how much the interaction works. I'm going to teach the game based from a solo perspective, and then I'll kind of cover what the cooperative elements might be towards the end. But again, by the time the Kickstarter's up, there should be a rule book, so you can just go read the rule book yourself and kind of cover that. But since I do a lot of solo gaming on this channel, I'm playing this from the vein of a solo perspective, but it's advertised up to 100 players. Like I've said in previous videos, I don't really know actually like how good playing with other players is for this. I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying that it feels like it might be designed for solo and then added cooperatively later. Yeah, that's the best take I can say on it. I feel like you'd be fine playing it by yourself, maybe with a couple of people. 100 people, from what I've read, would sound crazy to me or wouldn't add that much. But again, you can go make your own opinion on that. Anyway, so it is a campaign game as well. And I don't know if you're playing with other players, if you'd have to do the whole campaign. I'm assuming you can do every scenario individually and just play it that way. But the important part to highlight is this area right here. This is the difficulty level thing that they add to all their games. At the bottom of all their sheets, they generally have like a place to sign your name, wakasm, the day. I think today is the 14th. Handwriting is not that good on a computer, and then you can mark the difficulty. So there is replayability, and from my understanding, it's mostly going to be like you start with more damage or the enemy gets more health, that type of thing. We are going to just play on the easiest difficulty level. This way I don't like lose right away. And on the easiest difficulty, it says each player heals 1. Each enemy unit takes 1 damage. So we're gonna start with that, and I'll explain how that works now. There is a outcome. I have it hidden here because, you know, when we finish the game, we'll come here and we'll reveal the scenario outcome. Obviously, there will be more. I don't know how many scenarios are going to be planned on the final Kickstarter or how long the campaign's going to be, but this gives you a taste of what they're trying to do. All right, so let's move forward. All right, so what is the game? So the rules are actually surprisingly straightforward. I have them all summarized to the best of my knowledge here. We're basically going to activate our units. Then we're going to roll a dice. There's an event that's going to happen, and then all the enemies are going to activate based on that die, and that's going to be turn to turn. And from my understanding, you basically play until all of your units are defeated or all of their units are defeated. Okay, pretty straightforward, I think. There are a couple setup things that we have to do, and we're going to do that together right now. We'll do this in purple just because it might make more sense. So the first thing we have to do is we have to prep our heroes. And in order to do that, we're going to focus on these spaces up here. Basically, the way it works is these are all your hero units. They're all denoted by a letter A, B, C, D, or F. Some units start on the board already, so this main character Miles is already on the board. And then there's enemy units, and these have already been added onto the board for us already, so we know where the enemy units are going to be. Okay, so there's two things we have to do. First, we have to power up our heroes. That's what these, and then we have to put all the heroes that aren't on the board into one of these starting locations here. So you can kind of imagine it like this is our party, this is their party, and yeah, that's a way to imagine it. These hexes are individual, even though there's a lot of circles on them. Each hex basically represents like one place someone can be standing. They all have unique stuff to them, which we'll talk about in a bit, and there are some objectives that we can do that can be beneficial to us. They're donated by these letters here, A and D. They are not mandatory, at least for this scenario. I don't know if they ever will be mandatory, but in this scenario they are not. And then lastly is powering up. So the way things are going to work is that each character can either attack, like these three can all attack with their weapons. This one heals, and then these two also attack. So Lilia is our healer for the group. So to get started, before anything, since we're playing on the easiest level, we do have to heal ourselves. And the way that works is, how can I best explain this? Right now, this character is starting with 5 hit points, and these are 5 other hit points it can heal up to. Doesn't mean that it has a max of 5. It just means that right now it takes 5 hit points to be wounded, which is kind of like, you know, kind of being killed, removed from the game. But you can heal past that, so it seems like every unit can have 10 hit points at most. And since we're starting on the easiest level, all of our units are getting an extra hit point. They're all being healed 1. At least that's my interpretation of the rules. So again, if I'm getting this wrong, the author can, or the creators of the game can let me know. Whoops, I actually just realized here. We'll do it this way. Let's erase this, and we'll erase this one. Yeah. So had we not been playing on this difficulty, we might not be healing as much. Or if you play on the hardest difficulty, I think we would actually start taking damage instead. And then all of the enemies take a damage. So we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you can see like this hero right, this enemy right here has 7 hit points left, I think, if my math is right. Otherwise it would have had 8. So that's like the difficulty level scaling thing that we talked about. So then next, the preparation. So these are the squares that, or not, the hexes that the character will attack. So just as an example, we'll pretend like we took a turn and we moved the character into this hex right here. That would mean it's going to attack anything in this hex, I believe you don't attack your own units. I might have to double check the rules on that. There might be some like powers that do or events that do, but I'm pretty sure you don't. But I will pause real quick and double check. Yeah, the rules say enemy units, so I'm assuming you don't. But there are cases where you can damage your units, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. So anyway, these are the spaces that we're going to attack. However, how much damage we do is going to be relevant to this preparation thing that we do at the beginning of the game. So every character has a power 4, power 6, all the way across. And each of these hexes can get a value. Each of these hexes can get a value of this, I don't know what you call it, a range. There you go. That's a very simple way to say it. So I could put a 1 or 2 or 3 in any of these hexes, and they have to add up to 4 is pretty much what it means. So for instance, I could, if I wanted to, put a 1 here and a 3 here. That adds up to 4, and that would mean anytime I attack downwards I do 3 damage, and anytime I attack upwards I do 1 damage. So there's a little bit of stuff there. We'll leave it at that. I don't know if that's a good way to do it or not. So similarly, this next character I can put a 0. I can make some of these spaces do no damage, or I could do 1 1 2 2. So I could do 0 2 2 2, or I could do 1 1 2 2 in any order. So I think we'll do it like this. We'll do 2 2, and I don't know, we'll play it safe, and we'll do 1 1 like this. So that equals 6. So now we have an archer, and similarly we'll try it. We'll just do something like this. I don't know if this will work out. So we'll put 0 0 in there. I actually don't have I didn't think too far in there. We'll do it like this. We'll do 0 and 0. There we go. Now healing is another interesting one. I could do 0 1 or 2, so I could kind of stack healing if we want, but I think we're just going to play it safe, and we're going to just put a 1 in all of these up to 6. And then similarly here, I could all in on one side or the other, but we'll do 2 and 2 for power 4. And then I don't know, we'll do 3 and 1 and 1. So we've prepped all our heroes now. So now we know how our heroes are going to be dealing damage, and as you see on the bottom, the enemies are already defined for us. So similarly, they seem like their stats are a little bit better than ours, but you know, they will be doing things a little bit more random. And then just one last little bit of, like, I don't know, flavor is that all of these heroes, they all say stuff like Mila says, just surrender, I know what you've done, and they seem to be talking to the person below them, so leave me alone, I've done nothing wrong. So, you know, there's a little bit of interesting stuff going on there. So again, maybe I can zoom up so you can read these a little bit easier, but yeah. So Vela, please help us, arrest the fire starter. We go down here, I'm afraid I must decline. So just, you know, something to get out of it if you're into like a little bit of theme and a little bit of you know, flavor stuff. It does exist. Again, I don't know how deep they're going to go into that, but there's that. So that's everything for the preparation of the heroes. Next is we're going to focus on the map. I first have to put out everybody. Now, I'm not going to put too much thought into this other than the fact that I think I'm going to put the healer back here, and I probably actually should use blue for this, I would guess, because they are blue the top area. So blue, we'll use blue for our own guys, and we'll use red for anything down there. Then next, what is next? I have to do B. So I don't know, I'm not going to put a lot of thought into this just to save time. There might be some strategy implications here on what might be worth doing, but now we have our starting units and we have the enemy units, and that's it. That's all the setup for the game. Very quick, very smooth, very fast. So how does the game work now? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to move each hex or each character in order A, B, C, D, E, F. Then we're gonna, as we move them, we're gonna take their action. They're either gonna attack or heal, and then we're gonna roll an event, and then the enemies are gonna do the same thing. The way the movement works, and I don't really have great examples, but I don't know, I'll just use arrows to represent this. So this character, I can move here. I can't move them anywhere here because the way it works is there can only ever be one letter or number in a space at a time. So there's somebody here in this hex and somebody here in this hex. So again, if there's a 1 here, it means somebody's in this entire space. Because there's a 4 here, it means somebody's in this entire space. Or I can move here. Same thing, I can't move up here, here, or here, because currently I have people in those spaces. So I'm going to erase this in a second, but let's say I move them here. Means I cross this out. Now there's 3, you know, potential circles left to put people in. but now I have somebody here, and then they would attack this person because their ability up here is a 3 downward and a 1 upward. And because we put a 3 downward, this 2 character would take 3 damage, and they would go 1, 2, 3. Of note, you might have noticed that everybody has these little spots. Let me kind of zoom in so you can see it. These are crits, so if you happen to do damage and the last thing you mark is a crit, you get to do 1 extra damage. So there is a little bit of, you want to milk some extra damage out of stuff, try to get exactly what they have and try to avoid getting hit. In addition, there's these things. So these are like healing potions. When used, this unit heals 1. The way that works is if I ever like move here, I get to circle this on my character, and then I can use it to heal 1. Or there are also objectives, and some of the objectives have requirements. So like this one says additional requirement, use 1 healing potion, no effect when entering. So when I go into the hex with D, if I have a healing potion, I could decide to do the objective. It says Lilia, yeah, I guess anyone can do it, but it says Lilia risks her life to escort the old and weak to safety, using healing water and her magic to treat their wounds. In return, their families care for the burns she has suffered in the process. When completed, player unit D takes 1 damage. If not wounded, it then heals 6. So, yeah, I'm not 100% sure how that works. I guess only Lilia can do it. To my understanding, you're never erasing anything. So if I'm getting that wrong, I don't know. But maybe you are supposed to play with a pencil and you erase down. But like she can never heal 6. I guess maybe if she didn't heal this spot right here, she would heal up the full life. Okay, I get it. She can never heal herself. So if we didn't get this bonus thing, she would heal up the full, but she would take a damage in doing it. So she basically gets 5 health. I assume that's how it works. Some of the objectives, though, do not have any requirements. You just go to the space, and then it says when completed. This one lets you, like, there's these hexes with these like dots around them. You get to like color them in, and any units that are inside take 1 damage. So, ideally you want to target like a place that might have enemies in them, and I believe you can do them more than once. I don't know. This might be a case where like this one you really can't do more than once because she doesn't really have any spots, but this one you can. But again, I'm not 100% sure. Let me check the. Yeah, so objectives you can only do once. After you do them, you're supposed to circle them. So this can only be done once, but the items can be acquired by different characters. So yeah. So as far as I'm aware, you're never erasing anything in this. You're always just scratching stuff off. So it does simplify things. Anyway, back to movement. We kind of skipped a bunch of stuff. So in this case, she can move here and she can move here. Those are her only options. But let's pretend like this was the board and this was C's turn. C can't move here, can't move here, can move here, but they can also skip A and move there. So basically the rule is if something's in the adjacent hex, you can kind of skip past them and move to a hex further on. So the assumption is everything's going to be moving all over the map once the end of the first turn's over. But that's how like she can get out, she can move all the way over here, etc. So you either move, you move. It says it in the turn structure. You move in a straight line to an empty hex. Is basically, it is very simply defined. So we're going to start, we're going to play. Should be a quick game. I took 30 minutes to explain it, but I don't think the gameplay will be that long. So we're going to see how it goes. Again, I haven't played this. I'm playing with you in real time for the first time. Then you can make an assumption if this is a game for you or not. All right, so let's get started. So we're going to start with A, and we're going to cross her out, and we're going to move her to... We'll start with what we said we were going to do before. We'll move her right here. And then she's going to attack below because, again, she has a sword. Or it is he or she? I can't actually tell from the picture. Milas looks like it could be a he. Could be a she. I don't know. I actually am not 100% sure. Maybe it said he. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. They will attack down, and they're going to do 3 points of damage. 1, 2, 3 to Lyron here. Of note, though, this is their healer, so that's important. We take out their healer, they can't heal anymore, so maybe we try to keep that going. Next, we're going to move with B. Now, B is an adjacent. We do have an archer that can attack diagonally, so that's here. So we might move the archer here and attack your healer and just get that over with. So we are going to move B to... we'll move them into here. Now, we did forget something. I did totally forget this. We have these environments. So when a unit enters a fire space, it takes a damage. While a unit is here, its action targets both player units and enemies. So if you attack from smoke, you hurt your team. So that's important to note. And then the forest, while a unit is here, it takes 1 less damage. So this character right now is actually a little bit protected from damage because they're in the forest. So we want to try to take these forest spaces when we can. But I think we are going to ignore all that beneficial stuff, and we are going to put B into this spot right here. So B is now where A was, and they are going to attack. Actually, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to move them. Yeah, because they can't attack downwards. So we're just going to move them to here, I think. And there's nothing to attack in these 4 spaces. They would be attacking here, 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 and here. But there's nothing to attack, so they're not going to attack. All right, so now C is going to go. And since C is the archer, we said we want to try to take out their healer. I don't know if this is a great move or not, but we're going to do it. We're going to move them down to here. And we are going to attack into spaces where we can. And the spaces that we can are basically here, 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 and here. And there's only 1 character in those spaces. But it does mean that we are going to defeat this character. All right, so what happens when things are wounded now? So this is where a little bit of the cooperative side of the game would work if you're playing with multiple players. Although, again, in practice, I don't know how it actually would work. So if your unit gets wounded, then everyone playing the game's unit immediately so let me reframe that. If one person's unit on their sheet gets wounded, whether it's an enemy or a hero, they announce it like I would go, hey, I just wounded Lyron, healer, the number 2 on the enemy team, and all other players would immediately cross out all their health and make them wounded. Okay, so this is where the cooperative part would come in play. I could focus on the 2 character. Someone else could focus on the 5 character. If someone else was to take down the 5 character, I could then not even have to worry about it and cross off all of their health on my sheet. Okay. In practice, I don't know how it works. It seems like you could be very strong playing with a lot of people. Just have everyone focus on different enemy units and you win. That's also if I interpreted the rules correctly. But on the flip side, the reverse would happen. So for instance, I kind of put my archer in a pretty bad position because first of all, my archer takes a damage, which we didn't do. I should probably do that because I went into a fireplace. Serene, the archer here, takes a damage, but I also kind of put her closer to a bunch of enemies. So let's say on my turn or on the enemy's turn, they take out my archer. Like let's say they just happen to do a lot of damage. I would announce to everyone, hey, Serene the archer is wounded. And now everyone who's a human would, even if they haven't even taken damage with their archer, would have to cross off all the health on their archer. And then that character is now wounded for the rest of the game. And then wounded basically doesn't mean the character's out. What it means is it means that anytime that character now takes damage, all the other characters on the team take the damage. So if now Lyron right here was to take 3 damage, every single character now takes 3 damage as well. So you can see with this, the fights might escalate and end very quickly. I don't know in future scenarios if there's going to be more health floating around or what, but you know, it seems like things could get pretty bad pretty quickly. And again, that's if I understood the rules, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. And you know, I'm sure I will get the feedback of, hey, you misinterpreted the rules, whack, so fix it. But since I'm recording this, I can't if I did it wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. All right, so we've explained how that works. We're going to continue now. I now have D. Now D is our healer, so we want to put them in a place that they will heal the most. I would assume that's what we want to do. Now I could move her to this fire space and make her take a damage, and then she could heal up the archer here, but I think we're just going to play it safe, and we're going to move her here, and she can then heal up these 3 characters, and then we'll see if that's the best idea. We do have these over here to use, so at some points we can grab one of these and then get a character in D, and then that might be a good play. I don't know, but that's what we're going to do. So we are going to mark her off there, and then we're going to move her here, and then she's going to heal E, B, and A for 1. So that means that, what did I say, E, B, and A? We all get an extra health. So A gets a health, gets another health, E, B, and E. There we go. Now we all have 1 extra health to work with. Now E is gonna go. E doesn't have a lot of options to attack anything right now, so we are just gonna simply move them down, and we're gonna get them, oops, I never erased this. We're gonna get them a healing potion. So the way that works is, sorry, we just basically, that's not enough, we'll just use a drawing tool. We'll do it like that. So they now have access to a healing potion. So they are capable of now going into here and doing this quest to heal our healer and get the healer more health, or you can just simply use it to heal 1 damage, and you can do that on your turn. Then lastly, F is going to go. F kind of attacks down to the left and to the right. So where is F? I think I did something silly here, and I did an E and an F. So I think we're gonna erase what I did here. I didn't notice I did that, but this should have been, well, I don't know how I was going to do it. Let me double check something here. Hold on. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, I did put 2 E's, so I am cheating slightly. I probably would have done E, F, but since I already moved E, we're just gonna continue with what I said I did just to make it consistent. I don't have to redo it all. And then we will just make this an F and call it a day. There we go. So for the past 20 minutes, you've been like, why did he do E twice? That was just a human error. First time playing, real-time errors, like I said. All right, so now F's gonna go, and they're just going to move, and they're going to move from here. They're gonna move down. They are going to move past B into this little forest area, and they can only attack down or behind them. So they're going to attack this 3-player. Would have been really nice to be able to attack the 2-player, because then I would do damage to everything, but we were unable to do that. So we're going to attack down, and the 3-player is going to take 3 damage because that's how much damage we're doing. So we are simply just going to go down here, 1, 2, 3, and because we crit, we're gonna do 1 extra damage. So not bad. We do 4 damage. This Altara character now has 2 health left. All right, so that's it. Now we're finally gonna roll in this roll and write, and We're going to click this a bunch of times just to randomize it. We're going to roll. We've rolled a 1. So friendly villagers treat the wounded. Each unit with 3 or more damage heals 1. I am going to assume, hold on. All right, so in reading the rules, I do not think wounded units can heal. What's supposed to happen when something is wounded, you're supposed to mark off all of their hit points. So I would assume when something is completely wounded, they cannot heal anymore. So we rolled a 1. Each unit within 3 with 3 or more damage heals 1. And since it says unit, I don't think it's only friendly ones. So this guy right here would heal. So he gets a health back. But they're the only one that has 3 or more damage. Now, everything the enemy does is contingent on that 1 that we rolled. If you notice, I'll use pink. All of these guys have dice and directions, so they are just going to move to a valid space in the direction of the dice, and that's how we do it. You go 1 through 6. If there is not a valid space, then we're going to go in clockwise order. So just as an example, let's just pretend, well, I guess it kind of works in this scenario. Well, no, it doesn't work in this scenario. So character 1 wants to go north because their 1 is north. Let's just say they couldn't go north anymore. Then they would try to go this way, then they would try to go this way, this way, this way, and then this way until they find a valid space to move to. If for some reason they can't move at all, then they would actually become wounded and they'd be out of the fight. But I don't know how often that actually happens. The rulebook seems to indicate that that's rare. But in this particular scenario, this 1 guy right here, let's make it consistent. They are going to just move up. So they're going to move into this space right here. So we are going to cross this out. And they are going to attack above. Well, when they move in, they take a damage. They're moving into a fire space. And they are going to attack here and here. We do not have any units in that space, so nothing happens. Next, the 2 character, they are going to try to move here, they can't. They're going to try to move here, they can't. They're going to try to move here, they can't. So the first space that they can get to is over there. So we are going to move them over there. Boom. And they do not get items, so we don't have to worry about that. They heal, so they still do everything, even though they can't be healed or whatever. They're still doing what they need to do. So they're going to heal 5. No, they're going to heal 5. Yeah, 1, because 1 is below. They're below them, and that's it. They're now in a protected area, so any damage they take is 1 less. So that's important to remember. So 5 gets an extra health. Now 3 is gonna go. 3. Where's 3? 3 is going to try and go this way, and they can't. So they're gonna go north. They're gonna come all the way up here. So 3 is gonna end up here, and they can only attack here, 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 and here. So we do have a unit in that space, so they are going to take damage. Unfortunately for the bad guys, it's only 1 damage, so our healer is going to take 1 point of damage. But they did do some damage to us, so that's good. We got a challenge going on now. The 4 is down here. It's going to try and go up first, and it can go directly up, so it's going to do that. So we're gonna just do that. We're gonna go in here, and they attack in like a kind of triangular way here. So they basically attack here, and they attack here and behind them. They attack here for 2 and here for 2, so we're gonna take care of that. But when they go into this space, they are going to take a damage. So we're gonna mark that off right now. Had they done that, they would have critted and gave themselves 2 damage. But they are going to hit A and C for 2. But A is in forest, and a forest is, while a unit is here, it takes 1 less damage from attack actions. So A is only going to take 1 damage, but C, our archer, is going to take 2, and they only have 3 health left. So we did put them in danger. And again, if we lose our archer, and this is multiplayer, everyone loses their archer. So there is a little bit of that to consider. So good turn for this character. 5 is going to go, and they are going to try and move this way first. They can't, then this way. So they're going to come up into this A space up here, which is a fire dragon shrine. When a player unit enters, you may call a fire dragon. So only a player can do that. Oh, okay. I just realized this is the fire dragon shrines here and here and here are the path thing that I spoke about before. This one is actually just each enemy unit in or adjacent to a fire dragon shrine hex takes 1 damage. So they're going to actually get that effect in a second. So first, let's move them. So they're going to move up to here. And actually, no, they're not going to get that. Never mind. It's when a player unit enters. Hold on, let me check what player unit is. Yeah, so since this is an enemy unit, not a player unit, they don't get to do this fire shrine action. That would be the tracing over all of this stuff. But they do get to attack. And they attack A. They would attack here, and then, you know, there's nothing on this side. So they're going to do 2 damage to A, but since A is in a forest, A is only going to take 1 damage. So A takes a damage, and that's all that happens there. And then 6 is going to go, and 6 is simply just going to move up here in this direction, and it's going to try to attack into this space. There's nobody there, so it's going to do nothing. And that's it. That's the whole first full round. I've showcased the game. It took me 45 minutes to teach a relatively simple game, but it's fine. What I do. Now we have all the rules, we have all the details, so let's just finish up the game and see how things play out. So it is now our turn again. We have to activate A first. Right now, 2 is the most damaged, so if we can, we want to move A down, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to cross off A, and we're going to skip over F here into this forest space, and we're going to attack backwards. Oh yeah, actually it's not that great because we end up doing no damage. Let's rethink that for a second. I was looking at this down here, not this up there. So had I done 2 and 2, this might have been a better thing to do. So instead, we're going to look for a place where we can attack downwards, and I don't think that exists for this character. Let's see. Can't get there, can't get there, can't get over there. So I think instead we'll leave this spot and we'll jump down over here. I think this will be the better play. So we're going to leave this spot, and we're going to get ourselves a healing potion just to have it. And there are power potions too, which I didn't talk about, but I don't see. Oh, there, it's right here. There's a power potion here, and there's a power potion here, which can increase all the powers by 1. So if I had that and then attacked up, I could have done 1 damage to everything. All right, so that's A. B is going to go now. B attacks. B is the healer, so we want to get her adjacent to as many things as possible. I think we're going to put the healer here, and we're going to heal D and F. I think that's what we're going to do. Whether that's a good idea or not, I don't know, but it kind of blocks the enemy from getting into these forest spaces, and I get to heal 2 units. I get to heal D and F. Wait, no. I'm losing my mind. B is an attacker. D is the healer. So we are going to put B. Well, we'll still be in there anyway because they can attack both of these guys. So yeah, just doing the same thing, but just doing it differently. So they're going to attack. They're going to attack into 1, into 4. These are our own spaces. When attacking up, they do 1 damage. When attacking down, they do 2 damage. So 1 is going to take 1 damage, and 4 is going to take 2 damage. All right. That's B's turn. C's gonna go. They are the archer. They cannot get to a great space to attack this wounded because D is still there. But what they can do is they can back up into here. They will get the power potion that we talked about up here. I don't know, it's called the power potion. So they have access to the power potion. So now when they attack, they can add one more if they want to. And they're gonna attack down into 4. But 4 only has 2 health, so we're not gonna use we're not gonna use the power potion for this attack, but we are going to wound 4, and they are now gonna be wounded. They're not out of the game, they can still hurt us, but now we have more opportunity to take down everything faster. All right, so then D goes. D is the healer, so now we do want to position them in a place where they can do the most healing. I don't know where the best place for that is. I could go here and heal A and C, but I take a damage, or I could go here and heal B and F. I guess we'll go into the fire. I don't know if this is a good idea, but we'll move D into here. They do not have the healing potion, so they can't trigger the event. I'm assuming they have to have the healing potion to be able to do it. Thematically, it would have been their event to do, but they will heal C and A 1 when they go in there. So we'll do that right now. And A will get an extra hit point, and then C will get an extra hit point. So we're keeping the archer alive, hopefully, because the archer has that power potion. They might do a lot of damage. All right, now E has to go. Now E attacks left and right. So can we get them into an interesting position where we can take advantage of that? It does not look like we can. If we go here, they attack there. That doesn't do anything. If we bring them here, they attack here. If we go down here, we can get them into this spot. But then they attack their own players, which is something. Ooh, did we do that? Well, no, but we didn't have any players above for A. But yeah, I have to remember that when we're in the smoke, we attack our own players. And I don't think, yeah, no one's moved into the smoke spots yet. So just have to remember that. Yeah, so if we go here, we'd be hurting our own player. So I think we're simply just going to move down and maybe stop 6 from taking this spot. I don't know. I don't really have a good plan for this character at the moment. So we'll go here. And then boom, there we go. Also for consistency, C and D need to be blue. C and D, there we go. Any other characters? All right, and then F's gonna go. F is the one that attacks really strong down, but not really strong behind. But I don't think they have a position they can get to where they can attack down very easily. At least from where they're at. So again, just to map out, they could go here, but then they would be attacking. Oh, they could attack up here from here. So maybe they do that. Oh, that's actually pretty good. We'll do that, I think. Let me just make sure that's what we want to do. I could go here and I could attack this guy too for 5, but no. So we're gonna cross out F. We're gonna move them into the smoky area, which is dangerous. We're gonna put them in here. But since they only attack in like a triangle sense, they only attack down this way and this way. They can only hit 4. And since 4 is wounded, everything's going to take 1 damage. So 1's going to take a damage. I don't know. I think it's only stuff that's not wounded takes damage. So 3 is going to take a damage. 5's going to take a damage. And 6 is going to take a damage. So that ended up being a pretty strong move. All right. So that's everything on my turn. We're going to roll the dice. And we got a 4. Let's see what the 4 event is. An angry mob attacks the dragon. Cross off. Did I not move? I did move 3. Hold on. I could have moved down too. Oh well. Could have moved here and attacked adjacent, but it's fine. I have to remember to cross off all the spaces properly. All right. Anyway, angry mob attacks the dragon shrines. Cross off one empty unit slot on each fire dragon hex. Okay, so nobody can go here anymore. Nobody can go here anymore. And nobody can go here anymore. All right, and now everything's gonna, on the enemy side, it's gonna try to move onto the 4 spot. And hopefully I didn't mess up before. I feel like I messed this up. Oh well. Everything's moving on the 4 slot. So number 1's gonna try to go. Where is 1 here? They're gonna try to go down, and they can go down. So, or that's what they're gonna do. So they're gonna move down to here. And they attack just above and below. They don't have anyone to attack though. They don't hit their own units or anything from this spot, so they're good. 2 is gonna try and go, where's 2? Gonna try to go this way first. They can't, so it's gonna try going this way. So the next available spot is here. So they are gonna go here. They heal everything, so they are going to get a heal off on 5 and 3, so they're going to undo some of the damage that we did. So 3 gets a health and 5 gets a health, although they can only be healed one more time and then the healing doesn't do much for them. All right, then 3 is going to go. 3 is all the way up here. They're going to try to go this way, so they're simply just going to move into that spot. And they attack, how do they attack? They attack here, 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 and here. So they don't do anything interesting. Although I do have to remember to cross that off. 4 is going to go. And they are going to try to go up. And they can go up. So they're just going to go right into here. And they're going to take a damage. And since they are wounded... Actually, no. I think it's only... an enemy unit has already taken damage. Let's see if it's from a player unit or anything. Next time it would take damage, yeah, each time so it's gonna hurt itself. I believe I'm doing this correctly. It's going to go into here. It's going to hurt itself. Since it cannot take any more damage because it's wounded, everything else that's not wounded is going to take a damage. So they're going to take a damage. They're going to take a damage. They're going to take a damage. And they're going to take a damage. And then it tries to hit in a bunch of places, but there's nobody there to hit. No one there, no one there, no one there. So we are good there. 5 is gonna go. 5 wants to go in this direction. It can't, so it tries this way. So the first place it can go to is up here. So we're gonna move 5 up. And 5 is their archer, and it does not seem like it has any good targets, so it's not gonna do anything. And then 6 is gonna go, and it's similarly, it can only go below. So it's going to go down here, and it attacks in places where there's none of us. So they didn't do any damage to us. They actually hurt themselves. So I feel like we're doing pretty well. I think we're going to win this again. We're playing on the easiest level, so maybe it would be harder on a harder one, or maybe some of the future objectives make this crazier. It would be cool to use the Dragon's Shrine, so maybe we'll try to do that. Although I don't know if there's any really good places to do that with. We can only hurt this one guy right there, but I don't know. Let's see what we can do. First, A is gonna go, so let's find A. A is here. A attacks above and below, so I think this one's a very easy decision. We're gonna go into this Dragon Shrine right here, and we could go into this Fire Shrine and attack the 1, or we could go into this one and attack the 6. But I want to use the Fire Shrine, so we're going to do that. So we're going to move A. A is going to move up into here. It attacks above and below, but it does not have to hurt its own players because we are not in a smoke. When a player unit enters, you may call a Fire Dragon, trace 1 target area dotted line. Each unit in that takes 2 damage. So we're going to do that first. We'll use red for this one just to make it more thematic. And really the only place that I see that has an enemy is here. So we're gonna go 1, 2. Actually, this is really good now that I consider this. So the 2 is gonna take 2 damage. Because it's wounded, everything takes 2 damage. So 1 is gonna get crit and it's gonna die. So now 1 is wounded. 3 is gonna take 2 damage. 5 is going to take 2 damage. 6 is going to take 2 damage and it crits. And 6 is below A, so it's going to take another 3 damage for its attack. So it's wounded. So all that's left to kill is 5. So I think we're going to probably be able to do it this turn and we're going to win. Probably. Not guaranteeing it though. B is going to go next. Can B hit something? Let's see if we can get B to just hit something. B can go... Can only hit to the bottom, to the top and left. Can't go here. The B can come up into the smoky area and hit 4, and I think we're just going to do that to speed up the game a little bit. B is going to go into here. Now B is going to attack both C and 4 and do 2 damage each because we are in a smoky area. So C is going to take 2 damage. But 4 is going to take 2 damage, and since they're wounded, it means that 5 is going to take 2 damage instead. 5 has 2 more health left, so if we can just finish them off, this would be great. And we're going to do that now by moving C from here above it. They're going to attack down. They're going to use the power potion to do 4 damage, and 4 damage hits everybody for 4. And this final unit gets wounded and our side is victorious. Now we didn't get any objectives done. They weren't really that useful for this particular scenario or our situation. But again, the game could have played out completely differently with different roles or different choices or even playing on a harder difficulty. So just to kind of show how the campaign works before we wrap up, we are going to click to reveal the scenario outcome. And we would get a victory. Let's do a victory fill in right here. Victory. You wound the suspicious figure and manage to bring them down. As you remove their helmet, the shocking truth is revealed. It is the crown prince of the resident kingdom himself. Why would he betray his own people? And why frame the dragon? Before you can demand answers, the village peacekeepers attack from behind, fleeing together with him. It becomes clear that they have been working together all along. You set out on the journey home to deliver the crucial news of the betrayal as quickly as possible. As you approach the border, the same group from before ambushes you, clearly intending to stop you from delivering the message. To your surprise, a blast of fire erupts from behind, scattering the enemy. You turn and see the young dragon that has just hatched. It seems eager to help you cross the border safely. All right, we're getting a dragon maybe? I don't know. Obviously, if we were defeated in this case, we'd lose the campaign. I don't know if you always lose the campaign on a defeat, but you would have here. And then I assume, I don't know how the difficulty works. I don't know if you choose the difficulty per scenario or if it's for the whole campaign. And I don't know if this part specifically right here is just for this. I'm not 100% sure. I assume maybe it is, but it seems like this is obviously during setup, so maybe some wording clarity for this would make sense. But I assume this would be for the next scenario. You know, if we were playing at 1, each player unit takes 1 damage and that would be it. But obviously you can see on the hardest difficulty, each unit takes 1 damage, each enemy unit heals 1, and then on the first turn begin with 3 activate enemy units. So, you know, the enemy's units would get a full turn before you even get to go. So yeah, that is Rolling Tactics. I mean, I said I don't want to have too many opinions, but I like this. I might even say I liked it a little bit more than the roller stand game. I think I would play through this and see what happens. I don't know how hectic it gets. I don't know how hard it is to fill up all this, but for a roll and write, there's a lot going on here. I don't know. Again, I don't know how hard it gets. I don't know if it goes any places. I don't know if these maps get any bigger. I don't know if you have any unique scenarios or if it's just going to be a similar thing with maybe some different characters. I don't know because I haven't seen it. But if this playthrough helped you make a decision, great. Without all the talking and explanation, I could see this easily being like a 15-minute playthrough, 10 minutes even, once you get everything down. Obviously, doing things a lot slower, and I'm doing things a lot more verbosely. So, you know, don't fault the game on that. That's just me teaching the game. And yeah, this has been Rolling Tactics Scales of Peace. If you like this, I don't know, go check out their Kickstarter. If you like me covering it, feel free to give me a like, a subscribe, comment, tell me what I got wrong, tell me your thoughts about anything that I do. If you want to support me, I do have a Patreon. I have a couple supporters. I appreciate you. And other than that, I just want to say thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.